Hello, everyone. It's showtime. I had forgotten that you could play some canned music and that kind of stuff before the show. And I thought I really never know when it picks up and starts showing things. So when I hit go live, I have to hit it twice. And then I think there's a certain amount of delay. And so I don't know to start talking immediately after I hit it the second time to say it go live. Does it cut it off? So I remembered that this time, and I thought, you know what? I can stop the camera, which then puts my nice little picture in there, and then I could just play that, what they call rock, in the canned music. And so I was playing that when I hit go live, and then I was watching it on YouTube, and then when the logo went away and it started playing the music and you can see my little picture, then that's when I came on and actually started. So that intro, as we, for lack of a better term, takes up that space. So I know when I went and started my camera and unmuted myself, I would actually be broadcasting. I like that word broadcasting. It makes me feel important. I'm broadcasting. I'm a broadcaster. Yes. So, tonight, recess games. Can you hear the dogs in the background? My youngest dog, and she's still a puppy, apparently got wind of something or heard something with these gigantic ears she has, and man, she's giving it down the road. So recess games, I've been messing with my mustache. Making mention of mustache, I ran out of mustache wax, the little concoction that I put on my mustache. Which reminds me I need to make some more, which reminds me that I did a short on YouTube about my little recipe. So if you're bored, you got 15 seconds, jump over there, watch the little clips on how to make mustache wax. Yeah, you can use it on your sideburns if you've got any. You can use it on your goatee, maybe. Makes it kind of sticky. You can use it on your eyebrows. If you got them, long nose hairs. Maybe just your hair. Oh, went the wrong way. Which hand's doing the right way? Neither one of them. Look at that. Look at that. There we go. That's perfect. How's that? There it is. So, I get sidetracked a lot. Pretty easily. I think I have developed ADHD, adult attention, AADDHDD, PTTY, adult deficit disorder or something, attention deficit disorder, or old age, because your mind just kind of, see, it doesn't skip. Hey, Cleo, what's up? Y'all, everybody, hey, all of us right here. As you get older, your mind doesn't just like jump from one thing to another, man. It just like cuts crap off. You forget about it, and then, oh, squirrel, you're over there. That's the way it works. So if eyes roll back in my head and I do one of these, I'm trying to think of where this whole line of questioning and thought process was going. So I thought tonight I'd talk about some old recess games. Games that I played when I was a kid and they turned you loose and you didn't play organized games. Sometimes they made you play organized games. It was really a hodgepodge time, and this was probably late 60s. I know I don't look that old, but this is the late 60s, man. This is when you had seesaws. There was like a big metal pipe that came out of the ground, and then it came together, and it had these metal things in between, and the metal seesaw, the bracket went on there, and it was a wood plank with a metal T-handle on it, man. And it went all the way to the ground. It went all the way to the sky, and it would just knock your teeth out when if you had some heavier person on there that just dropped to their butt and it just slung you up, catapulted you. And then when you're up there, they would just step off. You just go squonk down on the ground. You know, when jungle gyms were made with cast iron pipe, like they put in plumbing, I mean, I don't even think, hey, Robert, I don't even think they welded it. I think literally, if I recall, it was a black iron pipe just screwed together, cemented into the ground. And you had the monkey bars where one over the other, and you hang your knees over it, hang it upside down. Oh, real teeth busters, man. Real head busters. They're big swings with the chains, and the rubber seats in them, and the merry-go-round. And the merry-go-round that would just literally teach you everything you ever needed to know about gravity. You know, how heavy, you become as you pull 15 G's. Yeah, metal slides that were polished. Oh my gosh. So many kids and their jeans and the corduroys went down those things, buddy. They were just polished. I think they may have been stainless because they never rusted. I don't remember ever having one rust, you know. And they were hot, scorching hot, and like 7 feet tall. That was a long slide down those things. You climbed and climbed and climbed. They were huge. Yeah. Asphalt, basketball goal, you know, basketball things. But anyway, recess games. And of course, recess games, when you're young, your first grade, your kindergarten. I don't even think I went to kindergarten. They just pulled up to the building one day and said, get out. You're in first grade. Go learn something. I was like, what? I didn't. It's just like, get out. Yeah, but I was lucky. My parents, you know, took me to school. So they dropped me off. I can't imagine uh, when I dropped my kids off, how crushing it would be to take you would almost have to start when the kid's 4 years old and say, son, daughter, child, in 2 years, you've got to get out there and go on a bus and fight tooth and nail to grab a seat and hope you make it there and back alive. So we're starting prepping you now at 4. So when you hit 6, you'll be able to handle the bus. So, but early ages, recess was more coordinated. And recess to me, this is what I'm talking about when I say recess. It was after lunch. I don't know, like immediately after lunch, because then you'd probably puke. But it was in the afternoon. The bell rang. You went outside, and for 30 minutes, you just went hog wild with all the other kids. And then you came back in and tried to continue on with your school day. So that's what I'm talking about, recess. But as younger kids, they were a little more organized. And I guess I never really paid attention. They would let all of them go out in classes or, groups of classes. So, you know, uh, I went to elementary school. And I'll tell you a little story about about my elementary school, my school system. All right. So I went to school, and you had elementary school, and it was first. Let me get this right. It was first through seventh, as I recall. Inducing whirl spinner thing rides were the devil. Yeah, especially when you would lock your arm. Kids made an effort to put up with the most G's they could. You know, you locked your arms around the metal, or you sit with your back to the metal handrails, handholds, and all that stuff, and you tried to endure as much as you could. And then eventually it would sling you off, or whoever was spinning it would get tired. So let me think back to my elementary. I think my elementary was first to seventh, and then junior high was eighth and ninth, and then high school was 10, 11, and 12. And we went to school as first graders with kids that were in the seventh grade, and they broke you up as much as they could, but still yet. I mean, you're in this big building. It was a pretty sized building in my mind with all these older kids, man. And as I progressed through school, uh, you get to the point where you want to be the top dog. That means you want to be the highest grade in that school. So, in my sixth grade year, I was looking forward to next year, by golly, I'm going to be a seventh grader. I'm going to be top dog of this school. You know what I mean? We're going to be my class, not just personally me, but you know what I mean. Seventh grade, the pinnacle of the school. No. Oh, we're going to make seventh grade. I'm going to move it to junior high. 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, and 9. We're going to be at the junior high. So my seventh grade year, then they did this between 6 and 7. So I didn't know when I was in the sixth grade, I didn't know that next year I was going to be the low guy on the pole again at junior high. So seventh grade, they said, "Oh, you're not going to go to elementary school. You're going to go over the ninth, junior high." What the heck? And you see how this is working out. 7, 8, and 9 at junior high. So between my 8th and ninth year, we're going to move ninth grade, make them freshmen at high school. And I all through my high school career, I kept saying, "You wait. When I get between 11 and 12, that summer between my 11th and 12th grade year, they're going to say, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're probably going to move the 12th grade to pre-freshman college. So I'll never get to be the top dog in the school." But that didn't happen. So finally, my senior year, my grade was, the big 12th grade. So anyway, so in my elementary school days, you know, they had playground equipment for young, not really like toddler kids, but first grade or sixth grade, 6, 7 year olds on up to, big kids. And, but some of these games we played were organized. All right. So Robert said he was the man in Red Rover. And I don't remember. I remember playing it. I remember everybody, Red Rover, Red Rover. We always said, "We dare Robert over." And everybody had their hands held tight, overlapping, sometimes like this, but a lot of times like this. Most of the time, you had the death grip on this partner next to you. But I don't remember how far apart. We always played it in teams. I was doing a little research. Apparently, There was a version of it where there wasn't teams, but we always did it as teams. But I can't remember how far apart they were. And as I recall, it wasn't very far, and it couldn't have been very far because even at a young age, if you give some of those kids a really good running head start, man, they're just going to take everybody down, you know. Uh, but the whole point of the game was to catch that person and keep them from breaking through the line. And it was actually pretty strategic because you didn't want to challenge the biggest kid on the other side to come charging at you full speed and try to, you know, break through the chain. So it was pretty fun. And I don't know. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if you didn't break the line, you became part of that one. So you might start out with 5 on each side, and then it goes to 6, then it might go to 7. And then if somebody breaks the line, they go back and take somebody back with them to the other team. Is that Does that sound reasonable? I was thinking, it was a competition. It wasn't just like I run and break through the line and I get to jump and cheer. I think there were some consequences there, but we played that. Uh, Robert says yes, so I was right. There were some consequences about breaking or not breaking the line. So it was organized, I think, by the teachers, and we played organized kickball with those pretty red, squishy, textured. They weren't red. They weren't purple. They weren't. I don't know what color we would call that, like a dead red or something. But they were real boing boing squishy. Those are the ones that you played dodgeball with. Now we didn't play dodgeball outside. I didn't play really dodgeball, I don't think, until I got to junior high, and the junior high had a gym. My elementary school, they didn't have a gym on campus per se. Uh, if you had, we had football and basketball teams and things like that, but you had to go to the junior high to play the game. If basketball or football for that matter, there wasn't a field at the elementary school. But the teachers, you'd play kickball or something like that, or shoot basketball. They'd let you, young kid games organized, swing, jungle gyms, and we played smear, and we always just called it smear. But as I heard it and read, reading it. A lot of places across the country, it was called smear the queer, and so, but we just called it smear, and it was just that. I mean, you get that football and run with it. And it wasn't just like one person would tackle you. It would be the pile on, you know, and you would just, sometimes if you saw it coming, you just throw the ball up and everybody just, forgot about you and just went for the ball. But, you got tackled, threw the ball down. Most of the time they just went after the ball. But sometimes, you'd have it and you'd be stubborn and you'd get tackled and still hold the ball, man, and they would just come and just jump on you and just squish you underneath a pile, because it wasn't like 4 kids playing this game, buddy. I bet you sometimes we had like 10, 15 kids playing, and it was just, it was crazy because it wasn't flat. We had to run down the hill and around the side of the hill. We wore ourselves out, and I don't, you play these games, you get out there, you run, you get all worked up, sweaty and everything, then you go back in and sit down and try to do music or ABCs or math or something. It was crazy. But so Red Rover, that was of course one of the games that I remember playing a lot. Robert mentioned it. So let me share this, and I've looked up some of these. Why wouldn't I? Right? I mean, you can sit here and talk about it, but let's look them up. Let's see what they say. Share the screen. Red Rover. Allow that. Add to the string. And there it is. Okay, so Red Rover was also known as King's Run and Forcing the City Gates. Never heard it called anything but Red Rover. A team game primarily by children on playgrounds, yeah, okay. It's changed over several decades, evolving from a regular run across game with one single catcher in the center of the playground to a combat game with two opposing teams. The change basically consisted of merging pre-existing rules from other games with those of the original Red Rover. So it says one catcher in a center. I never played it that way. My version was always the combat. Clell wants to know, did every school have that giant parachute that everyone took turns running to the middle? No. Don't even know what you're talking about. A giant parachute running, it took turns running into the middle. No, I never saw that game, never played it. I don't know what do you remember what it was called? We'll look it up. I don't remember ever playing it. I never saw that, never heard of it. They taught us early on to tumble, dance, etc. Remember that? I remember having to go and we would do calisthenics, and let's see, there was those little things: toes, knees. Was it? So you jump toes, knees, hips, shoulders, sky, something like that. And all the kids, you just touch your toes, touch your knees, then your hips, then your shoulders, and then up to the sky. We called it a parachute. Well, I know. But didn't the game, did you just say, let's go play parachute? Is that what you called it? We'll look it up here. We'll try to figure it out. Big green thing that military folks jump out of airplanes with. So we had shows with the whole school. What school did you go to, Robert, that they taught you on that you did tumbling and dance and ballet and yoga and crap like that? So the original Red Rover was a regular tag and running game with several players on one side and one person placed in the center of the playing field. The person in the center called Red Rover, let Clay come over to challenge and catch one of the players who tries to reach the other side of the playing area. If the Red Rover succeeds, they both return to the center. Each player tagged joins the center and helps tag others. Never played it that way. Never heard that version of the game. So Red Rover was based on New York author James Fenimore Cooper book. It's a chasing game, and it was pirate. Red Rover, I guess, was a pirate. But this is a game they played. The game was recorded in New York in 1891. And until the 40s, various descriptions of the versions of Red Rover have been published. In 1907, in Dorothy Francis Candle's book, What Shall We Do Now? 500 Games and Pastimes. Huh, that'd be cool. So in 1891 they were playing this game. I've never played it with the center, the center person. Now, one of the things that uh, uh, I don't think I've looked up was, yeah, I did. I looked this up. Now, this wasn't much. Some of my mind crosses over into games that we played as kids at home. So we played a game called Blind Man's Bluff. All right. And it was basically, as I recall, somebody was blindfolded and they would go around and you couldn't just, you had boundaries. A lot of these kids' games, you had to have boundaries because you'd play in the backyard with 4 kids or 5 kids from the neighborhood. You couldn't just be running everywhere. You'd never get the thing played. So, Blind Man's Bluff, the guy would try to go around and tag people and catch people. And then I think, it was almost like uh, kind of a game of, I'll look at this here in a minute, called freeze tag. But the person that was it was blindfolded. All right. And then it, according to this, it was actually his real name is Blind Man's Buff. So Blind Man's Bluff is a popular kid game that goes far back, actually called Blind Man's Buff. But somewhere along the line, the word buff was replaced with bluff, and now many call it Blind Man's Bluff. So during the Middle Ages, kids played this game by striking and buffeting the blindfolded player. Buffeting means to hit with great force many times. That's not the way we played it. So let's see. There was an element, I think, of uh, kids run around and you would sneak up behind them and poke them, and then the person would try to run around and tag you and things like that. That might have been one way we played it. The other players spin the blindfolded player around a few times and move around the room or area, calling out, dodging, and trying not to get touched by the player who was it. Anyone who was caught gets blindfolded and becomes it the next player. Okay. So it's kind of like Marco Polo in the pool, except there wasn't that call and call back. So, some of the variations, instead of players moving around, there's where you stand still. I think we played it that way. Yeah, that allowed you to have a bigger area, because you couldn't move around as the kids. And then calling and snapping and doing different things. So we played Blind Man, and I know we called it Bluff. And then we played, I don't know, what is Duck, Duck, Goose? I don't know. 32 fun parachute games and activities for kids. So there they're tossing balls into the air. Treasure under the sea. Place a variety of treasures into a treasure box under the parachute. Circus tent. With the parachute lowered, players raise their arms and the chute as high as possible. Once the chute is high, on a signal, all take 3 big steps towards the center. Still holding the chute tightly, children sit down at the edge of the chute under what should appear to be the cathedral. So does any of these look familiar, Clell? parachute tag. Lift the parachute high overhead. Call one child's name and have him or her run to the other side before the parachute comes down and tags them. You can alter the game by having children skip, crawl, or twirl to the other side. One hand run. Have each child hold the parachute with one hand with the opposite arm extend straight out for balance. Run clockwise in one direction and then change to counterclockwise. The tag one. So you would all have a parachute. Well, not everybody have one. You'd have a hold of the parachute. The kids would lift the parachute up, and of course it would balloon, and then they would say, "Clail," and you would run from your position straight across and try to get across to the other side before the parachute pillowed down and trapped you. Is that the way you remember? Huh. Let's see if we can find us a video on said parachute tag. Let's see. Because I don't. Where did you get the parachute? Any idea where you got the parachute? Well, that ain't showing us nothing. Wow. Holy mackerel. Look at the size of that parachute. That thing's huge. Well, that didn't help me out at all, did it? Huh. Let's see what this shows. The super shoot. Those are the easy ones. Those you can look up. Now we're going to do the first one is NASCAR. You know what NASCAR racing is? You know, they go around the track. And we're going to go around the track this way. Ready? Up, 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 yellow! This time we're going to make it. This time we're going to make it. Okay. Yeah, you don't want to go again? Come on! Can y'all hear that? Okay, the next one is one of my favorite ones called the tornado. There's two parts to the tornado. So I'm going to start it, and when I'm going to lift it, just go like this. When I do that, you do that, you do that, like that. So the bubble will go like that. There it goes, there it goes, there it goes. Wait till it comes to you. There it comes. There it comes. Wait till it comes. Okay, but here's the next one. We're going to do a little bit of a tornado, but with a ball involved. So now we got to get the ball going around. I don't think they're ever going to do your tag. There it goes. Yes, 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 yes. There it goes. Huh. I mean, that looks like that could be fun. You had a ginormous green one, huh? Cool. So I never had parachute. Never played any parachute games. So freeze tag. Seems like ours take up the whole gym floor. Probably seemed bigger than it really was. So that was something you played mostly inside then, huh? So is this freeze tag? All right. So I remember playing freeze tag, and when you got tagged, you had to freeze where you were, and then the other people tried to come by and unfreeze you, but the person that was was protecting his frozen quarry. You know what I mean? He was protecting them because he knew people were going to try to come by and unfreeze them. And I think as being it, your purpose was to freeze everybody. And as the people that were, your purpose was to unfreeze everybody and try to, keep, from getting frozen. And that was a pretty fun game. But like I said, you kind of had to limit the areas, especially, if you had just a small number of kids. But freeze tag was pretty cool. And then we played a different kind of game. Used a sheet to catch the person. Huh. That's interesting. I don't remember playing a lot of games that were spin-off games or something. You know what I mean? I mean, Red Rover. We played Red Light, Green Light, which is kind of a funny game. Whoever was it would stand, and it was like the other kids were so like 20 feet back, and their purpose was to touch or get up to the point where they could actually touch the kid that was the caller. And so you would turn your back to them, and as you turn around, you would holler, green light. And then by whatever undetermined amount of time, you'd spin around and go red light. And the kids were coming at you, and when they heard red light, they had to stop and freeze. And if they got caught by you still moving after you said red light, then they were out. So when you'd say red light and spin around, and whoever was still in motion got thrown out. And then eventually, the person that would get up and be right on you and touch you would be the winner or the next caller. I remember doing games like that. We just called it red light, green light. And then there was one that we played, and we played it mostly in backyard, not necessarily at school. And we just call it Ollie Ollie Oxen Free. I don't know if that was the name of the game. Ollie Ollie Oxen Free. Oh my gosh. Who played Kick the Can? Let's see. All right, let's see what the origin of Ollie Ollie Oxen Free was. But that was Lord, this looks, oh man, that's too much right there. But we played it in a game. Ollie Ollie Oxen Free is a catchphrase or crude term used in children's games such as hide and seek. And that's how we used it in hide and seek. Capture the flag and kick the can to indicate that players who are hiding can come out into the open without losing the game. That the position of the sides in the game had changed, or alternatively, the game was entirely over. See, I think the way we did it is if we were playing hide and seek and you had a base, that if you could get to the base, you were free. And so it wasn't necessarily hide and seek as it was kind of a game of cat and mouse. So somebody was out trying to, and we used, like I said, we normally played these at home, and you kind of played it in the dark, so it would be a little more interesting. not like pitch black, but you know what I mean. And people would hide, and then they would make their way close to the base. And when they got to the base and they touched it, and they were free, then they would holler out, "Ollie, ollie, oxen free," meaning, "Hey, I didn't get caught, and I'm, at the base." So what was duck, duck, goose? I think I remember playing something like duck, duck, goose at a birthday party. Is it kind of like musical chairs, something like that? Oh, wait a minute. So were all the kids sitting around and somebody went around? One kid went around and you went duck, duck, and whoever you hit goose with would have to jump up and chase you to get back to the chair. Was that it? Yeah. He says yes. Excuse me. Game. Okay. Duck, Duck, Goose is a traditional children's game often first learned in preschool or kindergarten. The game may be later adapted on the playground for early elementary school students. Let's see what it says. Also called Duck, Duck, Gray Duck, or Daisy in the Dale, or Quail, Quail, Quarry. Traditionally a children's game first learned preschool, kindergarten. Basic concept. A group of players sit in a circle facing inward, while another player, who is it, walks around, tapping or pointing to each player in turn, calling each a duck, until finally calling one a goose, which designates the chosen player as the chaser. The chaser, or goose, then stands and tries to tag the chasee, while the chasee tries to return to and sit where the chaser had been sitting before. Okay. Kiss in the ring or drop or handkerchief. Now, I think we've done the handkerchief thing too. So yeah, Daisy in the Dale, Duck, Duck, Gray Duck, Drip, Drip, Drop. Played mostly in warmer climate. Who is it? Goes around the circle with a container of water and drips a small amount on each person's head. See, I do remember playing it at parties, like at birthday parties, not necessarily at school, but at birthday parties. And but it seems like the person that's it stands at you know unfair advantage on the person that has to get up out of the chair and start chasing them. So, but it's all in the name of good fun. So each one of these has reminded me of one of the things I was going to talk about, and that is picking the person that is it. So there's always seems to be like a nursery rhyme kind of counting chant, rhyme, whatever, to pick the person that's going to be it. So I remember doing one potato, two potato, three potato, four, five potato, six potato, seven potato, or. We always call it or. Sometimes it's mores. Six potato, seven potato, eight potato, more, something like that. And then you each did it with the your fist out, and then you put one behind you, and you put the other one behind you, and the last one with the fist out was it. So now we did a lot of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, lets him go. My mama told me to pick this very best one, and it's not you. It just depended on who was saying it, how long they wanted to go with it, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we did the eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah, we did that. And did y'all ever? One of the things I remember doing is with the baseball bat. Vicky, hello, Vicky. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the chat. Everybody say hello to Vicky. I've never seen Vicky before, but I'm glad you're here this evening. We're talking about recess games. Uh, what we used to play, not necessarily in recess, but also just, in the backyard with a bunch of kids late at night or during summer vacation or whenever, you know. But one of the things we used to do to pick was a baseball bat. I mean, you'd hold it, and then you grab it, and you grab it, and you grab it. And the last one almost always tried to hold on to it with just the fingers. But whoever was holding the bat at the the end was the person that got to pick teams or whatever. So what Robert says, Paul Revere by the Beastie Boys. Was that how you picked whoever was it? Was by doing the Beastie Boys song? Is everybody familiar with that one potato, two potato, three potato, four? If not, I found some videos. Apparently it was a song. I don't know. Like a kid's song. But we always used it to pick who was going to be it. And we played King of the Hill. I don't know. Maybe as boys we played rougher and tumbler games or something, but we played King of the Hill. And uh, it got rough sometimes. You'd pick, of course, a hill, and then everybody tried to come up, and the guy at the top was trying to push everybody down. They were trying to drag him down, and sometimes gravity, would always win out. Sometimes, harder than others. But I remember playing King of the Hill. But how about the extent of the games? Of course, kickball was always fun. But I remember a lot when we went to, when I got to middle or junior high, tater, one tater, two tater, three tater, four. Did you still have that rhyme? Six tater, seven tater, eight tater, more, or whatever. Did you count up like that? Was it like the eight still? Even though you didn't use the proper potato, you just said tater. Okay, so that must have been like the rhyme part of it. It must have always went to eight, like uh, 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Milo, Milo, Milo. You know. So are all these, when I was reading some of these things on Red Road or one of the other games, it's kind of weird. I guess maybe when teachers would become the PE teacher, or how did people know? How did kids know, especially our age group, my age group, if you could go from this one elementary school, and let's say you transferred to Ohio from, uh, Tennessee, and you go your first day in recess, and they were playing Red Rover. How, you know, was there some kind of, teacher book, something that had all these games in it that kids would learn even if they went to different schools. Because one of the things, kept saying, well, it was really cool that, even without internet and, basically when you were, you know, sending things through the, telegraph, that a lot of the schools and kids played the same kind of games, hide and seek. All this is just, I guess nationwide, you know, it's just really kind of weird how that works, especially like the one potato, two potato, the rhymes and all that stuff. I tried to look up, here's what I was trying to look up before, some of these jungle gyms. I remember one like this. This is kind of what I was talking about. Let's see if I can get this one to come up. See these old steel pipes? I mean, I can't really tell how that's made, but I can tell you one thing. It was not made for safety. They were not made for safety. There's no padding on these things. And look, you can see where it's rusted because they were just all galvanized, I guess, pipe. And now all the kids swinging on them and walking on them and doing all those things wore it off, made it rust. You come back and your hands would be blistered and rusty. Shoot, yeah, man. Here's what one of no, I don't want to do that. Just leave me alone, dude. There we go. All right, I remember one of these for sure. And see, these were what I used to call these monkey bars. Is that what the people always call? Is that what you call them, monkey bars? Where you just swung hand over hand, but you could, stick your feet up in there and hook your knees over it and put your toes under the other one and hang upside down. I mean, as you were doing this, there'd be kids pulling on your legs and stuff and punching you in the stomach, trying to get you to fall off. I mean, oh, here we go. Here we go. What'd you call that, Clell? The vomit machine or something? Oh, yes. But this is the one right here. And these were the metal things that I was talking about, where you would sit with your back maybe against this metal bar to try to keep from getting slung off. But if you were a smart kid, semi-smart, and you knew something about gravity and centrifugal force, you went to the middle, okay, and you could actually stand up in the middle. Now, you didn't get slung off, but you were spinning in the center around and around and around and around. And it still got to you. And then you're in the middle and you're dizzy. Now you've got to get out because you can't stand in the middle forever. You're trying to grab a hold of these bars and make your way out. And then, of course, as you go towards the outside, then that's when the G forces start kicking in. And now you're dizzy and it just slings you off of there. But yeah, the biggest kid that you could find to grab that bar and start sprinting around in a circle. Or we would get like 2 or 3 kids, bigger kids, and they would each stand around it and they would all just grab it and sling it at the same time and just sling it and get it going as fast as they could. And sometimes, you're holding and you'd let your legs sling out and it would just knock those kids' legs. I'm surprised you didn't have a lot more. Not at my school. I think a couple of kids got their collarbones broke and some different things like that. And of course, bumps and bruises and scrapes and cuts. But I don't know. But yeah, your feet would sling out or something and hit the kid that was standing there spinning the thing and knock him to the ground. It was killer, man. Killer. Oh, look in the background, Robert. There's your metal slide. Can you see it back there in the back? Yeah. That thing, of course, I said 7 feet, but that's pretty tall. I mean, that's a pretty tall slide. And I guarantee it's metal. Guaranteed it's metal. Well, that's cool. That is cool. None of this stuff now with the plastic slides and things like that. All right. I guess that about covers everything I was thinking about recess time. They're talking about different names for freeze tag. Of course, you can make up, rules for all kinds of stuff. I remember when we used to play dodgeball. They it was supervised because you didn't turn, kids loose with dodgeball and not have somebody there to supervise it. But you had to stand so far apart, and you couldn't just run up and pelt somebody. Because they had, I'm sure, a lot of busted noses and all that kind of stuff. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming. Vicki, if you're still with us, thank you for showing up. Tell your friends, your family members, your enemies. Like I always say, if you like it, share it with your friends and families. If you hate it, share it with your enemies. Make them watch it. That'd be a good way to get back at them. If you don't have enemies, then you're A-okay. Tell everybody you know. So, like, subscribe. I looked when I sent out that message on YouTube. I think I've got like 86 subscribers now, which is cool. Maybe we could get to 90 one day. And if you're not aware, I know Robert Clell, you're probably aware. And if you're not aware, Vicki, you may not be aware. These are put out on Spotify podcasts. I don't understand the difference between a podcast and this. Of course, right now it's a live show, and it will be on my YouTube channel as a video. But the difference between the video and the podcast is nothing, really. I download the video. I have to upload it to Spotify, and there it is. You can watch it as a video or just listen to the audio. So I don't know the difference. But anyway, they're out there, and they're on Google Podcasts too. Why? Because those are two that I could get it to work, and they're free. Cheap. Frugal. I'm frugal. All right, everybody. Appreciate it. If you got any ideas for shows, let me know. Holler at me. Send me an email. Something like that. All right. Bye, everybody. Wave bye-bye. See you later. Thursday at 9.